Okay, the next one speaker will be from Dr. SHIM from Korea, and he is also a very international scholar. When we wrote a letter to invite him here, he is in Tasmania, in Australia for marine debris research. 那我们当初邀请SHIM教授，他人还在澳洲做，也是一样海洋垃圾的研究。那所以这边我们特别感谢荒野保护协会帮忙我们大力邀请他过来。那SHIM教授他除了在韩国的一个科学技术研究院当首席科学家之外呢，他也是 UNEP 的海洋垃圾的一些相关顾问。那他的 publication 呢，他写给我们说他只写了一行，就是超过190篇的 publication， 所以可以看得出来，其实海洋垃圾是一个非常 international 的部分。那我们这边也欢迎到SHIM跟我们分享他的研究，谢谢。
It's my great honor to be here for delivering my talk under the venerable Ocean and Taiwanese conference. First of all, I express my sincere thanks to Professor Xiang Huang, the National Taiwan Ocean University, and the Mr. Chue Xuan Hu at the Society of Ocean Wilderness, one of the Taiwanese NGO. So they invited me to bring your attention to marine debris, particularly plastic. So that plastics, not their plastics, our plastics. So we learned in the elementary school about the history and prehistory. So old Stone Age and New Stone Age and Bronze and Iron Age. But that's all. But you can imagine now we are at what era, based on my title of talk. The plastic age, but it is right. I'll give you some scientific evidence and data. Based on weight, steel is very heavy. So based on weight, steel production, world steel production is more than plastics. But when we convert to volume, that volume of plastic over steel, around 1989, we need steel to produce some goods, cars, and this is Mike, and also Iron Man. But also we need the plastics for bottles on your desk. And when it also comes to fibers, the polyester, you have many polyester fabric in your house, that fiber production already over the natural fiber, cotton and wool, very recently. So this evidence shows that we are now at really plastic age. So annually, around 2.2 billion tons of solid waste are produced in the world. Among them, 0.275 million tons are plastic waste. Many of them are recycled in land. About 8 million metric tons of plastics enter into ocean every year. The author of this paper mentioned that the amount we discharge the plastic in the ocean is the same as the amount of tuna we caught from the ocean. So we take tuna, but we put the same amount of plastic in the ocean. So what items? The left show that 25-year international coastal cleanup data, almost every plastic can be found in your coast. The 25 average data show that cigarette butt is number one, food wrappers, containers, caps, lids, and tablewares, the plastic beverage bottles and plastic bags top length item. Do you think what this time frame means? Just time for use. Cigarette, 5 minutes. Maybe somebody taking 10 minutes, but generally less than 5 minutes. 1 hour, half an hour, you just open the cap. Just half an hour is enough to finish one bottle of the Coke. But they will last more than 100 years in the ocean. Just a single-use item, 5-minute use, will last 100 years. When you compare with Taiwanese and Korean data, especially Taiwan had a high number in tableware and plastic bags. I found that's why yesterday there are lots of takeout foods in Taiwan. It's very seldom in Korea. That's why Korean value is less than 1% tableware. But you are taking lots of food from restaurants, but you do not properly manage that waste. And Taiwan and Korea share one very particular item. The top third and top fourth item in Taiwan and Korea, respectively, is buoy and floats. But this data has come from macro debris when it comes to small fragments. Styrofoam fragment occupied 1/3 of plastic items on Taiwanese beach. I was shocked with these photos when I organized a workshop a couple of years ago in Korea. And Taiwanese NGO, the guy, Taidi Chang, showed these photos. Lots of plastic styrofoam buoys stranded on shore. They are very rapidly fragmented to small particles. And she had these vinyl bags and disposable tablewares on beach. Korea also shared that in a styrofoam buoy. We used a huge amount of and number of buoys in aquaculture, especially for oyster, mussel, and sea squirts. They're stranded on very beautiful, island, and they fragmented, small piece. So who are currently main polluters? Currently, is the Asian country because, as you know, that the rapid economic growth. That's why it's the plastic consumption rate per capita is very highest in Asian region nowadays. And also, there are large population, but without proper management system. That's why the main polluters. But for the past decades, the developed country like the United States and European countries were main polluters. But they have implemented a proper management system. That's why even they're using lots of single-use items, but that discharge amount is less in Asian countries. The ones introduced to plastics in the ocean brought environmental consequences. I'll show you one of examples. Entanglement. So many mammals and birds and fishes are entangled by these items, and smaller pieces can be ingested by marine creatures. This is the Laotian albatross in Hawaii, seagull in Korea, swallow, fishing line and hook, and dwarf sperm whale in Thailand, stranded dead, found huge amount of vinyl bags in its stomach. So there is a paper reported in 1997 and new one published by the Convention of Biodiversity. There are a number of species reported in the world. The number of species with entangled and ingested plastics. The numbers increased. So UN estimated the ecological damage caused by marine debris is $13 billion per year, but it just based on known effects. So we are considering unknown effects that must be much higher than this. Another effect is ethical effect. A dirty beach, everybody doesn't want to visit there. I'll show you one example. There is a very limited information in the world. We recently surveyed that small island in Korea receiving lots of debris from second largest river. 2011, a heavy storm discharged lots of natural and anthropogenic debris, cost $29 to $37 million just one event 1 year in one small island in Korea. You may extrapolate this value in the world, very beautiful sight. It's very hard to imagine the numbers. And effect on fisheries, ghost fishing by derelict and abandoned fishing gears. Also, is very limited data in the world. So recently we surveyed in Korean cost. Just one province, Gyeongnam province is one of 9 provinces in Korea. Cost is $46 per year, just the cost of inaction. It means damage on resources. Another cost for action, because they should remove, the entangled debris on their fishing gears and propellers, and there's spent time and efforts. Also, another $73 million per year in one province. Another effect in navigation radars, but it's rarely known because it's hard to collect the data. But there is one old data in Korea in 96 and 98. around 9% of propeller entanglement caused by marine debris. It's a very high number. So very recently, my colleague and a professor in the Naval Academy in Korea, collected data in naval ship because they reported very in detail. This very good source of survey found that. We submitted this paper last month. So 320 cases per year and 2.3 cases per ship per year. It's very high frequency. Their propellers got entangled by delicate fishing gear. But this is not the end of the story. The plastics, fragmented to small pieces. Even worse, human being manufacture smaller plastics. This is 10 micron size polyethylene bead used in cosmetics produced in Korea. Smaller plastics change the paradigms. Mega debris to nano debris, you can imagine the size. Change, increase numbers, and availability. So just big debris can consumed by bigger animal, but smaller debris can be uptake by small organisms like the planktons. And target organisms increase, and toxicity will increase, not only for plastic itself, and also that chemicals associated with the plastics. And also almost impossible to clean these small particles. But another good use is it reduce volume and reduce entanglement possibility. So far, there have been lots of study for the past decade. We found microplastics from our ocean surface, sea bottom, even in the Arctic, in ice cores. There is increasing trend. And also, we found many scientific evidence in many organisms ingest these particles, and they can transfer to chemicals. I'll show just a piece of scientific evidence. This is a styrofoam buoy. EPS is the right name for expanded polystyrene, but the styrofoam is brand name of Dow Chemical. We exposed the styrofoam particle in the UV light for 6 in 12 months. Just 6 months is enough to break down the polystyrene particle to micro size. So people thought non-visible means disappear, but they still exist in the environment. Surprisingly, 97% of this particle is less than 50 micrometer. So I calculate, it's hard to imagine that size, so I calculate this one. One small buoy degraded to 2.5 millimeter size, 7.6 million, 250 micron means 7.6 billion particle. And nano size, I cannot read it in English. Even in Korean, I cannot read it. My son may read it. But in Korea, based on statistics, we use 3 million new buoys per year. So we conducted a survey recently. We found that many microplastics on our beaches, you just see that numbers according to size, decreasing size, abundance increase. Macro debris, just one piece per 1 square meter, still high number. Just 1 square meter, we can find one piece. Microplastic, 100,000 pieces in 1 square meter. And these small particles can be ingested by very small copepods. It's very important species in our marine food web. Not only uptake, they cause effect on their reproduction. We call fecundity, to reduce number of eggs and juveniles. And many general publics, wanted to know about there are microplastic in their foodstuffs. Europeans, the red dot line means an average value that based on that reported so far. European country has certain amount, but less than China and Korea. Is number of microplastics per gram. So, for example, in China, one commercially available oyster has around 10 gram in red weight. So you consume one oyster means you consume 10 plastic together. 30 plastics together. So based on the European study in Belgium, they consume around 10,000 particles per year when they consume oyster and mussels. So very recently we found that the chemicals can be transferred to organisms. It is the first evidence in the world to transfer chemicals in plastic to invertebrates. In polystyrene, we have to use the flame retardants to retard the propagation of a fire. But we don't need to use that flame retardant to EPSV used in water. But there is no proper management of chemicals. So in Korean manufacturers, they produce the mixed styrofoam products. So they inadvertently add flame retardant. This HBCDs, hexabromocyclododecane, is listed on the Stockholm Convention, have to be removed in our daily life. But there is an alternative. They delayed that action for 5 years. It means very toxic chemicals. So they can transfer to that mussels attached to EPS buoy. We compare that the other buoys and natural mussels, orders of magnitude high value in these mussels. And we found styrofoam particles in their tissue. This is confirmed in FATL spectrum. They totally match within a styrofoam itself. So now, why I call that revenge of our plastics. Any plastic items you throw away in the environment, break down to the small piece, it's just a matter of time. Ingested by many, many different kinds of organisms. But the human being is top predator on the top rank of food chain. So they are on our plate, on our table, sorry. So I use that sentence, what you eat, what you throw away. So be careful to throw away plastic items. So weight of cost and benefit. When I saw that styrofoam buoys in our beaches for a long time, so I thought it's very easy to solve this problem because we know that source, aquaculture farm. So if government and stakeholders gather together, talk about these problems, I think it's very easy to replace. But they don't, because they thought this part benefit is way more than environmental cost. It's very cheap and easy to handle. The buoyancy is very, very good compared to the other plastic buoy. And also there are very small EPS industry. So wanted to protect the industry, I understand. But we show some polluting beaches, some effect, but they do not move. So that's why we started this microplastic research for the past 5 years. So now it changes. That's good news. From the last year, government changed the policy to replace EPS buoy to alternative environmentally friendly buoy. They do not fix the time, but final goal is terminate, phase out EPS buoy in our environment. They substitute some fund and support some fund for fishermen, and increase the current use use the buoy rate also 10 to 30%. Also, the MIF, the Minister of Ocean and Fisheries in Korea and Minister of Environment in Korea agreed to stop using HBCD, flame retardant, in EPS buoy. They will control from 2017. Also another good news. So what are you going to do? I'm a member of GASAMP. GASAMP stands for Joint Group of Experts on Scientific Aspect in Marine Protection. It's sponsored by multi-UN agencies. We published one report in 2014. But this recommendation is not new. You already know. Reduce input and overcome barriers and change behavior. So we need not only scientific research, education awareness. Ellen mentioned about many, many good things to control the acidification problems. All the same, international cooperation. And also we need to reduce the input, and also we remove currently accumulated plastics. And all these things should be governed by such good systematic control tower. So lots of information. So I don't need to add more. So it's time to move. So take action. There are lots of good direction in the internet. What we are going to do. It's time to take action. So I thank the funding source and my colleagues, and thank you for listening.
Thank you for Dr. Shin's presentation. 这种简报听完，其实就觉得心里蛮沉重的，这样子想说我们可以多做一些什么事情。那刚刚后面那个架构，其实可以看得出来，大概也许跟刚提到的海洋酸化议题很类似，怎么样从研究了解状况，寻找问题，了解问题，解决方案，特别是到最后政府的措施跟教育的部分。那其实我们最近注意到，有蛮多的政府部门开始推动净滩活动，包括海巡署、渔业署跟环保署等等的。那我想，除了净滩是一个比较末端的之外，怎么样从政策面，特别刚我们看到很多在海边的一些垃圾、一些渔业废弃物的话，想政策面是更重要的事情。那 I think is there any question or comment for Dr. Chen's presentation? Okay, if there no, we can proceed to next topic. They are mentioned there is some action proposed from UNEP